liberty and justice for all.
First, I'll congratulate Mr. Burke on his proclamation last week at the county, and from the town board and the town of Sullivan, we thank you for being here for our meetings and all you do for our community also. So thank you, Bruce, and congratulations. Okay, next we have approval of our minutes from town board meeting on November 2nd, please.
So moved, John.
Motion by Mr. Martin, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Verskevich. Any discussion? All in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried. Okay, our Harbor Lights traffic study. Andy?
So, I did do some investigating, Joe sent me the information on the last speed study. So there's, as far as I can see, there hasn't been a speed study from Lakeport Road up towards Lakeport Market, Weaver Road. The speed zone ends right at Lakeport Road, so I definitely would say, we should have one look at in that corridor because of the store and the, business park and the harbor lights and all that traffic, so.
Yep.
I
It's not
think
gonna get any better.
No, I would think they would take a lower implement into consideration in that area. So we do need a resolution, in order to move forward. That'll go to the county, and the county will send it to the state.
Okay, somebody wanna make that motion? Motion by Mr. Verskevich, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Gibbons. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried. Okay, next thing on the agenda is short-term rentals. Mr. Laney sent us 3 different local laws.
Sent you another one just recently too. The one I like the best. I sat through a seminar last weekend, and then the Association of Towns in NICOM has sort of what they call the gold standard, and I read the whole thing, and
Yep.
it looks like it could work for us if this is what you want to do. So it's this town of Canadice, or Canadice, C-A-N-A-D-I-C-E. So I don't know if it's your packet yet. I sent it out the other day. Yeah. Okay, good. I would say focus on that one, but also look at the others to see because we can modify these any way we want. There was a recent case that had come out that over in a federal court case out west that struck down certain local ordinances involving Airbnb regulations. And I think the Canadice ones, that really takes care of it. So do some of the other ones in here. But
Now,
your main thing, John, is you gotta have somebody in close proximity to the short-term rental that can react immediately if there's a complaint.
well, can we set up a registry?
Yep, that's in the
That's what I was
Casanova. The
thinking.
Casanova
Setting
law
up a
has
registry.
required registration.
Now, can we charge them a permit fee every year?
The town board can establish a permit fee at the time the law is established. The permit fee would reflect the actual cost of the town to administer the program, which could be substantial. If Larry has to run out there and check on things for whatever reason, then there's a cost. So we would probably canvass and see what other people are charging and do our best job to estimate it and then change it if we need to the next year, really at any time. But yeah, I think there's a lot of paperwork that goes into doing these.
What happens to existing?
Well, we can address that in the law. Now, first of all, the existing ones, we could add something that would like amortize them away, saying if you had one that was established that was legally allowable at the time, then we'd give you 6 months or something to finish it up and apply that to the program.
But we can ask them to apply.
Yeah, you can absolutely do that, yeah.
Okay, now we can't pick and choose though whether they're town owners or outside the area.
That's the key thing. We have to cover out-of-state people, out-of-town people, and local people. The biggest issue has been making somebody live in the facility. You can break it into 2. You can have certain short-term rentals where it's owner-occupied, but you also have to have a non-owner-occupied.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, you can do that, but you probably don't need to. You probably could just do it the one way as long as there's a responsible person, say within, 30 minutes for responding to an issue.
Well, even 30 minutes, you've got the city of Syracuse and outside owners, and they don't really care what goes on out there because they don't live out there.
Well, it could be
So
revoked. These would be revocable.
That's my big concern, is that people that don't actually live here
Yeah.
But they rent the house out.
It's always the biggest.
Use it
complaint.
as a playground, because we've had many issues
Yeah.
along that lake shore that have been problems.
I recommend you get somebody, maybe a couple people from the town board to look at those and have a meeting. Maybe Larry will wanna be involved. We have a couple daytime meetings to hammer out what language you'd like to have.
Okay.
You should have enough there to get something done.
John, I have just a
Yes,
couple
yes.
questions for John. John, what is, I was reading the definition of, what is the significant difference between an Airbnb and a bed and breakfast?
So that's like, it's like saying Kleenex is a tissue, you know, so Airbnb that's the company, that's the corporation that runs a lot of these short-term rentals. The new lingo you wanna deal with is short-term rental. Now, you can make,
Or
You can s-
VRBO.
yeah, VRBO would be the same, so we have all these different names of these companies. We're gonna try to move away from that in any law we write. But one of the other things you're gonna talk about is the owner occupied and maybe non-owner occupied ones. And really, most of the time you define these, it's a stay that's 30 or 31 days or less, kicks you into the short-term rental regulations. And inside that, you can see all the different things that you can do with it, you know.
So if we start a register, how do we know when somebody comes, how do we know we'll have people come in and sign up?
You won't, you can, but the law's on the books. I mean, Larry finds out the way he finds
Yeah,
out everything.
okay.
Somebody calls to say what's going on here. So you post it on the website, you have a notice or whatever. And I think the county, I mean, this is the other thing, which is the occupancy tax. I'd like that to be addressed in our law, just to make people aware of it.
Right.
Because there could, you can take a nice, fee out of that to help reduce your county
Well, I
taxes.
forgot what it is per bed, but if the county gets a fee for that, and that goes directly to tourism.
Yeah. And then, you know, what they say, and I have no firsthand knowledge, is that the local hotels, they feel like they're at a disadvantage with these short-term rentals.
Correct.
Because they're not paying an
They don't
occupancy
pay the
tax, so
occupancy.
there's not a level playing field. And the fear is we lose our hotels and motels around here because everybody's staying at these cheaper places.
So when you go to a hotel, you pay all the street tax lights.
And look at your bill on it. When you go to stay at a hotel, the bill's pretty long
There's
now.
a lot of different tax lights, what
Okay.
about to be collected.
So that, I mean, so the same thing with here, which is a county, really should be getting its occupancy tax.
Okay.
Well, there's a number of Airbnbs throughout the county, but on Night Lake, I could only find 3 or 4.
Is that
Well,
right?
it's a lot of waterfront, they have them down Lake Moraine,
But that's what-
Erie Reservoir,
And that's
different
what,
places.
yeah, that's
But
what,
I looked up Verbo, John.
that's what was
And I'm
advertised.
gonna tell you, there's a lot of those.
Is
It
there?
could be.
on our lake
In
shore.
the
Yeah.
town?
Yeah, I mean, that's the beauty.
Yeah.
They show you where they are,
Yeah.
so.
Yes, right.
It won't be hard to register.
So, yeah, so if you look at 1, 2, 3, or 4, and there's 4 main companies that do that, you gotta look at all 4 in your town to see what's out there.
Gotcha.
And it doesn't mean that people aren't doing it privately, they could be finding a way to rent them privately. Those are the ones that'll probably slip through the net, because you just aren't gonna be able to find out unless there's a complaint.
So can there be a penalty if there's a complaint that you go all the way back to a certain point and you gotta pay the fee and everything else?
We can look at that, but typically if there's a complaint, we might be able to say you're not allowed to get a permit. We're certainly gonna say if there's a complaint and it's a legitimate complaint and we revoke it, you might have to spend some time in timeout. Like at one law I saw, said you couldn't apply for a certain amount of time. If once it expires and you go to renew, if you've got a certain number of complaints, you're off, you're off the books for a while and you can reapply. So there's plenty of detail we can get into. Your code book's not thick enough yet, so
Yeah.
Hey, does anybody else have anything to ask on that or any other comments?
So maybe, whoever's gonna lead that, call me, we can set up a meeting in the next week or so, let's start, kick it off.
Alright. Budget modification, we do not have one of those. Firefighter applications, none of those. Okay, we have a resolution, providing the imposition of an additional penalty for the non-payment of taxes, for New York State Real Property Tax Law, section 987. It's a $2 fee to cover the mailing and paper and stuff to send out, another notice to people who did not pay their tax bills. So I need a motion for that, please.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Montroy, seconded by Mr. Martin. Is Any discussion?
Is this something we've missed for a while? I mean, why now?
Just, yeah.
It's Becky at the county said we took
Well,
something.
some
we
Becky
could
said
do.
they can start carving it, so.
If you don't wanna do it, we'll have to do it.
Statute allows up to $2 to cover the cost of the mailings and
So if you
administrative.
don't pay your taxes, you have to chase these people, it's just $2 to pay for them.
Yeah, just, you just
It's
throw it on top
$2,
of the bill.
it's-
Yeah.
They're not paying the charge.
Not gonna get anything about
No, we're not-
You're not gonna lower the overall tax
You're
rate.
not gonna make any money on that.
Oh, I know, but I can lose it.
So,
Was there a motion in here?
yeah,
Dave and I.
Mr. Montroy, Mr. Murphy. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Okay, I have a, proposal for the Schultz subdivision.
We're gonna hold that one right now.
Okay, where is that?
So there's a 13 lot subdivision, the road escapes at the moment, and it's off of an existing street, and it's got a drainage, there's a drainage swale in the middle of it, but the developer wants to develop 13 lots. And the planning board recognized that, well, you develop 13 lots, we better make sure the drainage out there is gonna work. Now, he's got the gentleman, Mr. Schultz, has a professional, which is Friedenberg, who's a good professional. And I think we just need to know, before this goes forward, I wanna call Matt Friedenberg and say, we have a proposal from B&L, but your client's gonna have to pick up the entire cost. So before the town signs this agreement, I wanna make sure that the client's gonna agree to reimburse the town. Cause I don't want B&L to get started and not get paid.
So do you want us to pass this pending that?
I guess we
And
can
that
do
way
it
you can
subject,
move-
yeah, we
that
can do
way
it
you can
subject
move
to, yeah.
Along
we can
on
do
it, you don't have to wait
Yeah,
for another.
subject to written confirmation.
Just got one, right?
Yeah, so subject to written confirmation, that applicant will deposit the.
Well, hey.
Yeah.
And it is,
I got a feeling that might not happen once he sees what he's gotta be required to do.
okay, does anybody wanna make a motion on that?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Gibbons, second.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Martin, is there any discussion? All in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried. Alright. John, you wanna give us an update on solar panels?
What update?
What's, going on with that one down at the end of, Lakeport Road?
Oh, it's, so right now that's with the engineers, so B&L just issued, this is that little, it's a 5 megawatt project over near some wetlands, off of Lakeport Road. And right now the issue is B&L's looking at the wetlands, we're trying to determine if we can push any part of that project a little bit further away from the neighboring, use that's going on over there. There's a residential use that's happening right adjacent to it. And we wanna see if we can't the engineers wanna see if they can find a way to lessen any impacts to the wetlands.
We're all clear on our wetlands, this board's intention was and everything.
Well, yeah, the only question that had been raised was whether the board wanted to take a look at that provision, which is 1,000-foot setback from the wetland, which is over and above DEC and Army Corps. Because if you get a DEC permit or an Army Corps permit, DEC means you can build within 100 feet of the wetland. Army Corps, Army Corps has got to approve whatever you do if it's in their wetland, so that's a pretty rigorous thing. The question was from the developer, I think, and maybe the board member, one of our ZBA board members wanted to know, what was the intent of the town board? Was it to create basically a 1,000-foot buffer from a wetland, with the developer trying to say that if you use this 1,000-foot buffer, we can't have solar basically anywhere. Now, they say that verbally, I don't know if it's true. Nobody showed me a map. I haven't seen a map that's been certified that these are all the wetlands in the county planning could do this. They could show us all the wetlands. And then they could show us the 1,000 feet off of that, and then whatever lands are left over, those might be the places where developers wanna put a solar project, a smaller solar project. It almost sort of becomes an overlay zone de facto. Because you say, if we really wanna protect those wetlands from the solar, this is where you might be able to do it. And then a developer sees that and they come in and go, okay, let's go approach this person. because they have land that's 1,000 feet away, we don't even need a variance. So that's like the next question from a planning standpoint. Do we wanna talk to county planning and see if they're willing to do that?
So they're gonna do that.
What's that?
They're gonna talk to county planning.
Who is?
Planning.
I'll talk to Frank and see, because that basically, I think the ZBA asked a question about what was the intent of,
Okay.
what was the intent of this? And I can follow up with county planning. Would Mike Ellis be the guy to talk to for that or not? He's tax
Mike
manager.
or Emeyer.
Oh, Scott, I can call Steve.
Mike's tax mapping and.
Yeah, that's right. I'll
Scott's
I'll talk to, but who creates the maps? Does Mike the guy that creates the maps? Scott does?
Emeyer does, yeah.
Oh, Scott. Yeah, I can-
Planning,
we did that for Casanovia's. We had him help us with some maps.
then he'll be able to punch it right in and get it for you.
All right, I'll do that.
Okay, paper roads, we need to have that discussion at some point in time.
Yeah.
You wanna put that off, or you wanna
Well,
put together something, or?
Yeah, I gotta gather stuff together for that.
Okay, that's something that, is affecting our highway department and a lot of questions for our planning and zoning
Yeah.
both. It's creating some issues, so we need to discuss paper roads. I have a Micron discussion tomorrow at 9 AM at the county. We're identifying, developable parcels in Sullivan, Lennox, Oneida, Cass, Ryder, Georgetown, pretty much everything west of, halfway mark at the county. We're also discussing countywide ambulance, which we've talked about, and, we will have to make some decisions on. I think it's gonna work out fine for us. As we talked about, we will buy the ambulance, the county will provide the service for us. We're working out a mechanism to pay for this countywide. I think what's gonna happen is there's gonna be some sales tax withheld, because this thing's gonna be about $1.6 million, for the whole county. And instead of putting this whole burden on the property tax owners, I think we take it out of sales tax. I brought that up yesterday. So I think what's gonna happen is, whatever the cost of this countywide ambulance is gonna be, is gonna come out of the sales tax cut that the towns get. So like this year, sales tax was way up, so you wouldn't even notice that you're paying for this service. It wouldn't go to the towns, so. I think it's gonna work out better for us as a town. It's gonna work out good for the county. As I said, I'm putting together a committee panel down at the county. It's Madison County 2030, and this is something that has floated to the top. We did an ambulance study 7 years ago, and there was 5 points in this study that the person that put the study together said would happen, and all 5 things have happened. And it's not getting any easier for volunteer organizations. The fire departments have gone through the throes of this. And if you want to continue ambulance service, which is, believe this or not, is a non-essential service here in New York State. When you're laying there with a heart attack or something has happened, you fall off your roof or something, you really want an ambulance to show up. So it should be a essential service, and we're gonna lobby on that behalf out of county. So countywide ambulance is still being discussed. Tomorrow we'll make the decision on the certificate of need for the whole county, and I suspect that's going to go through. John, you wanna talk about the business park? There's no money left in the business park funds, so I think we just run everything through the town board for ease.
As you recall that the entity exists as an entity, and we started a process to dissolve it.
Yep.
There are some procedure requirements we still have to tighten up and get done, but we had a process started, so I'll work with Beth to complete that.
Okay, I gotta get these done because I've got 4 businesses that wanna come in that.
So
building. I gotta get them done.
one of the suggestions is the entity still exists. So what can happen is if we have a closing ready to go, we get the board together, they authorize the closing, we close it. And that's what we've done in the past. Because we gotta get permission from the state to do these things, and we got some paperwork will have to be completed.
Okay, so who are we running these businesses through? The town board or the?
I would say if
business
we
park?
have something ready to go, we'll run it right through the development corporation.
Okay.
And get that done, and get that, just because we've transferred property through them before, this wouldn't be any different. But ultimately, yes, you wanna wrap that up. Yeah, but it does require some paperwork and state approval.
All right.
Paperwork's been commenced.
Of course, I told you that we've got 28 unit senior housing. That's all, in the works right now. Mary Beth Spraglia, she wants to build a little warehouse with some office space. She's chopping at the bit to, get her a lot. I just talked to Rick Myers to measure out a 5-acre lot for, retail. And, I'm still talking to the paving outfit. At first, they said they wanted a paving, asphalt plant, that was, no, that's not working, no. So I think it's just, they wanna store their equipment and stuff, they're looking at, some work for Route 8.
Can you have them have their attorney call me so we can talk about how the contract's gonna
Okay,
read for the purchase?
okay. All right, that's all I've got. Does anybody else have anything that they would like to talk about? Art?
You know, you did have the wetlands discussion there, and it was on the last agenda as well. And I wanted to mention that the applicant put up a map here showing that there is no area in Sullivan Township that is beyond the 1,000-foot setback. And I gotta say, I'm on a rise. There's no way my property, which he showed as being within 1,000 feet of a wetland, is within 1,000 feet. And the same may go for all of you as well. I think he's showing some incorrect maps.
Yeah, we never got any, Art's right, and it's a good point, which is, I would wanna see some verification, which is this issue about maybe going to the county and plot the areas that would be outside the 1,000-foot setback. So maybe we resolve that on our end by working with the county.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, that's it? Okay. Jason?
Yeah.
You wanna give us a quick rundown of what you wanna do?
Yeah, so
You're gonna be okay?
we have, our cascade system to fill our air bottles is from North Chenegos Firehouse after it burned, so 1980s. We're looking to replace that. I just need approval to pay $10,000. As of right now, it's 10,000, dropped from 15, to replace that with a used one. It's 2005, 406 hours on it. So I think it will do fine for what we need. Right now, we're unable to fill our bottles with what we're using. So we have to either have North Chenegos Heavy Rescue come down, fill, or we go over there. That's all I need is the approval. And if, I'm not sure what the freight is gonna be right now, but if we go over for some reason, the budget doesn't allow.
Talk to Beth.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Guys, wanna make a motion to let him be able to buy that?
Is it off a proposal? Where is it coming from?
What's that?
Is it 10,000, who's the 10,000?
It's out of his budget.
Yeah, but who are you paying for that?
It's a company in Texas.
Okay, so when we complete our due
He
diligence?
procured it,
paying the
yeah,
right-
he's procured it.
Okay, you're good, I just want to double check.
I'll get the information.
Okay, good, yeah, you're good.
Okay, so somebody wanna make a motion for Jason?
Sure, I'll move it.
Motion by Mr. Martin, second.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Montroy and Mr. Gibbons. Is there any discussion?
Jason, this will take care of you now for quite some time. 'Cause I know we've had this discussion about Cascade forever.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. I won't be around.
So the existing one is not working, or?
It's not capable to fill the bottles to the pressure it needs.
Because of changes, okay. This one will. I only get nervous because it's a 2005.
Yep, it will,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay, all in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried. Okay, do you wanna talk about, it's a contract, we'll have to talk about executive session now. Oldbrook.
Legal advice, I reviewed everything and I'll give you my legal opinion.
Does anybody else have anything? Okay, we need a motion to go into executive session for advice of counsel.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Martin, second. Second by Mr. Bruskevich. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried. I don't